Kia ora, welcome to the Shared Lunch Kids Investing series. Ko Brooke Ho, I'm Brooke Roberts, one of the co-founders and co-CEOs at Sharesies. Today, my conversation is with Clint Roberts. He's the host of ZM Drive, podcaster of the Parenting Hangover, and most importantly, dad to 2 young daughters. Before we get started, here is some important information.
Investing involves risk. You might lose the money you start with. We recommend talking to a licensed financial advisor. We also recommend reading product disclosure documents before deciding to invest. Everything you're about to see and hear is current at the time of recording.
Kia ora, welcome, Clint.
Hi, bro. You're Roberts.
Yes, I know.
Are we related?
Yay, Roberts squared. I'm married into it. So have you got family in Hawera by chance?
No.
Okay, maybe
No,
not.
I don't have anything on that coast.
Yeah.
No. We're safe.
Yeah, nice. Tell me about yourself and especially on the parenting side.
I am a father to 2 girls named Maggie and Tui. I have a 3-year-old and one that's just about to turn 5. So we've just done the school visit for the first time where they get to walk around and see what it's like. Thankfully, she loved it and she's excited about school. I'm married to Lucy. We've been married for 6 years. We've been together for about 10 years.
Nice.
I think it's 6. 2018. Yeah, 6 years.
Good work.
And yeah, we're in the raising little people stage of life and everything that goes with that.
And then you started a podcast specifically about parenting and being a dad. What was the inspiration behind that and why did you kick that off?
It's easiest to talk about what's directly in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And that is my life at the moment.
Yeah.
Where I used to be a cool dude DJ, playing at festivals and bars and parties every weekend. Now I'm going to Chipmunks and I'm going to Trampoline World and things like that. And I love it and I wouldn't change it. Jordan, who is How To Dad, who is an extremely successful parenting content creator, him and I have known each other for a while, and we both kind of felt that there was a lack of content for dads originally who were looking for information about just how to be an involved dad was the original idea. Jordan makes a lot of content about parenting and a lot of it is really funny. Some of it's quite tongue-in-cheek, but this is just long-form chats, and it was originally meant to be dads talking to dads, and it's not. It's dads talking to parents. We actually have more mums listening to the podcast because it's just people our age with kids around our age going, how the hell do we do this thing? How does it work?
I remember thinking there's got to be a formula to this. Like you've got to be able to clock parenting, and there's absolutely no way.
And you know what I figured out? That even in the short amount of time that I've been parenting, which is about 4.5 years, as soon as you master a skill, it's too late. Your child has moved on to the next thing. And even by the time your next child comes into it, a lot of the time you've forgotten it. There's this evolutionary thing where your mind only stores the information that it needs right now. It's like how you think you'd be able to go to your parents, what do I do in this situation? And they offer you some information which they either go, I don't remember, or it's out of date or whatever it is. You know, there's no way. I don't think there's ever a way you're going to clock it.
I even think about that now with my friends who are pregnant. I'm like, I actually don't know what that was 4 years ago for me now,
Yeah.
Like,
I hold a new
tools.
baby and I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to do with this. Yeah, it's weird how fast it leaves you.
It's nuts, eh? So why'd you call it the Parenting Hangover?
Because that's what it feels like.
Yep.
You know where you're sort of you're half with it. You are sleep deprived, you have bags under your eyes, and you are just trying to get through that bit. It feels, a lot of the time, parenting feels like you are permanently hungover.
Has that feeling changed as your kids have gotten older? Like, do you feel like there's...
Yeah, yes. Although, ebbs and flows, right? Like, we are just going through a bit at the moment where our 3-year-old is not really sleeping, but before that, it was like... we're kind of humming along. So, yeah, I think the good advice is never get too comfortable. Or as the positive way to go, enjoy it while it's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a glass half full, glass half empty situation.
Yeah, it's just a moment in time, eh? It oscillates definitely in our house.
Yeah.
So for some reason, it kind of, I'm
That's
not sure
good.
why. It is quite
That's good.
But we always wake up to either, Mom, Dad, wipe my bum. Like that's the first thing that's our alarm. Like, so.
People say you'll miss it when it's gone. They say this is the good side. These are the golden years. And you go, really? I'm going to miss the bum wiping? I don't know if I'll miss that bit. I'll miss the cuddles. I don't know if I miss
it's also scary if they don't ask you. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to walk into?
Totally.
Like,
trusting them to wipe their own bum is a whole thing. Like, I want you to do it, but I also don't believe that you can do it.
Like, I don't know if you're at that stage yet. But hey, we're here to talk about kids and money. Two massive topics.
Yeah.
Tell me about your childhood and your experiences around money.
I am the eldest of 4 children. I was raised in Rotorua, and we were not by any stretch of the imagination a wealthy family. My dad worked in gas stations, and my mum worked at Postbank and then BNZ.
Oh, yeah.
So we were, middle class family, maybe lower middle class as far as finances went. But what was really challenging, and what I don't understand how my parents managed, was when I was about 9 and my brother was 7 and my other brother was 5, my mum left her job to go and study to be a teacher. So we went down to one wage as a family, a gas station wage. My dad worked at Shell, and they go, no, we're going to make this work. Mum wants to be a teacher. It's the right thing to do. And then while she was at Polytech, she got pregnant. So they made that work, and I just don't know how they did it. I've reflected on it quite a lot now that I am in charge of a household's finances. And is it a combination of you could do that in the 90s if you lived in small town New Zealand? Rotorua, I think it is a small town. Or did they just find a way to make it work? I don't know. I want to talk. I need to talk to them about it. But in saying that, we never went without. We always had food on the table. We always had the clothes that we needed. We always had the sports equipment that we needed. They just made it work. It just was either hand-me-downs a lot of the time, or secondhand stuff, or when we could, we got new stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. So like, there's so much grit and resilience, and then you've 4 kids. Wow.
Yeah,
and
I know.
changing career. And,
I know.
Yeah.
I think because of that upbringing, though, I didn't really have the financial education that some of my friends did have, if their parents were more business focused or something like that. And that's not a criticism. You teach what you know. And the way that my parents operated was you work hard and you have a mortgage, and if you need money, you borrow against the mortgage and you keep paying that. But they definitely treated their mortgage like a 30 to 35 year thing. Whereas if I can help it, I don't really want to have a mortgage hanging over mine and my family's head for 35 years. I know that's a privileged thing to say, but I think I would like to find a way to beat that system a bit. And my parents didn't invest any money either. They always owned their house. They always had their house. I guess that was their investment.
Yeah.
But they didn't have an investment scheme or an investment property or anything like that. So that is all information that I have sought out later.
How have you gone about that?
Sharesies.
Oh, cool.
For a starter. And that for me was, I think it was similar for a lot of people. It was, well, one, it was having kids driven and going, I need to build a stable financial platform for my family. Working in the media is another one too, because you sort of never know. Look at the environment at the moment. You actually never know year to year what your job is going to be or what it's going to look like. Thankfully, I work for a really good company and I have a really good job on a really good show. So you feel like you have some security, but you still don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought that Mike McRoberts would be on seek.co.nz, So when I had kids, and also I think a lot of people did it during the pandemic too, when you go, what am I going to do? And that's when some friends and I started investing with Sharesies. We have a group. We don't invest together. We just invest and we share our information. I think we thought that we were going to become this like trading group who are going to like predict the market and tip each other off on trends and things like that. Hasn't quite eventuated. We have a Facebook chat called The Wolves of West Auckland.
It's out now.
I know. But it's a good way to, I think, understand how that stuff works and sort of teach yourself in ways that you can handle. You just contribute what you can. I think I had $10 a week going into my Sharesies account, and over time you've got room to, and then I set up the auto investing.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's up to about $50 a week now.
Yeah.
But only 25 of that gets auto invested, and then $25 I play the market with each week.
You get your wolf on.
Yeah.
Going back to your childhood, did you ever get pocket money, or did you? Yeah. Do you remember how that worked?
I don't remember what the system was for divvying it up, or like what the pay bands were. I do remember as the eldest I got the most, which was a major bone of contention. But we're talking like I got $2.
Yeah.
And my younger brother got $1, and my brother below that got 50 cents. My parents were real slack at dishing it out. Like I remember having to hound them for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of IOUs, a lot of, we don't have any coins at the moment. I'll get it later.
Yeah.
And I never forgot.
Yeah.
I reckon I probably had some kind of ledger going.
Yeah.
I've always been a saver with money, and I remember looking at my pocket money and figuring out what I could get with it. Rollerblades were a big thing. But then I also had aspirations of buying this 100cc motorbike, like a Honda kids motorbike. And I think it was...
That would have been cool.
Yeah, I think in the 90s, because there was a Honda store on my way home from school, and I used to go in there all the time. The guy must have been so sick of me just going in there and touching the throttle, and it's just the smell of the tyres and things like that. And I think I worked it out that at $2 a week, I would need to save for something like 8 years to get the motorbike. And that didn't put me off, but I remember taking that plan to my parents and going, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm willing to do to get it. How can we make this work? And they're like, we're not giving you any more pocket money. Yeah. So I don't think they were interested in me getting a motorbike either.
Look, there's a big gap here. We're not going to... We've actually got this thing coming out called Bank of Kid, where we're created these cool like activity sheets to help kids and parents like have that conversation and help them see the goal of what they want to achieve and how to get there. What about with your own kids? Have you got into...
No, they're too young.
Yeah.
They're too young. At 4 and 3... Yeah. They don't have a concept of money yet.
Yeah.
We had a thing a couple of weeks ago because we are redoing our kitchen at the moment, and I took a bunch of shit off the wall, and there was a jar that had some coins in it. And my daughter said to me, what is that? I was like, oh, this is money. This is what, when you're not using PayWave, this is what money looks like. And she said, can I have some of that? And I thought, oh, this is a teaching opportunity. And I said, sure, you can have $1. Because there were some gold coins in there. And I said, Maggie, you can have $1 too, but it's your job to look after it. And they heard $100.
Yeah.
And so they're running around the house going, Mom, Dad gave us $100. Very cute. And I was like, what do you think you could buy with this $100? And Turi was like, a bike? I was like, you could actually buy a bike with $100. And I said, Maggie, what do you think you could buy with your $100? And she goes, a fluffy.
And you're like, you're actually more accurate.
Yeah. With what you have in your hand.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about inflation, but maybe you're in the ballpark of a fluffy.
Yeah.
But they inevitably lost the $1.
Oh.
But that was a teaching experience too, because they came to me and they said, Dad, we lost our $100. And I said, well, that's not good. I told you to look after it. And they said, yeah, can we have another one? And I said, no, you can't have another one because there's only so much money, and we don't have an unlimited supply of money. And in that moment I was like, man, this is good dadding. This is really good parenting.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, but we want another one. And I said, if you wait until tomorrow, there might be some more money. And so they waited, and then I gave them the $1 the next time, and I said, now it's your job to keep that safe. You need to get a piggy bank or something like that. They chose their jewellery boxes. Yeah. And I think it kind of worked. I was just trying to instill not the value of money, but just the idea that money is finite and valuable. Yeah. And I don't know if it worked, but I think it might have started to seep in with that.
Have any of your kids lost teeth yet and has a tooth fairy or
No,
anything?
we're not there yet either.
No, not there yet either. Yeah,
No.
cool.
How much does have your kids?
Yes.
What is because I've had conversations with people about the going rate.
I could not believe, my mum's was like, so I got 20 cents, 10 cents, whatever,
I think I got a 50 cent coin. Yeah.
I was stoked as. She told me like $5, like a note. And then other people, because I asked a few friends and I was like, how much do you give? What is it? Some were like $1, $2, some were like $20. I was like, this is ridiculous for a tooth. Like that's an expensive mouth. But I went down I've got, for my children, I do a little bit in Sharesies and a savings account in there. Oh, yeah. And it's like, looks like a tooth fairy and it's got a fairy emoji in there and goes in there. And then I put a coin under their pillow. A coin, yeah.
We
and
talked
then got
about
a money
it on
jar.
the podcast, trying to get the going rate.
Yeah.
And we decided that it doesn't matter what the going rate is, it's just you and your parenting friend circle need to agree what it is, so that when your kids are hanging out, they don't go, I got $20.
Yeah.
We thought that possibly $5 for the first tooth was fair, and then $1 for each tooth after that.
Nice. Those conversations you've had with your children are awesome. Like, it's so good just to, and the physicality of money is actually, I've started to learn through this podcast, is quite important for kids. If I told you that by the age of 7, your kids have installed in them their understanding of money and their belief system around it, would you want to do anything differently? Yeah,
I'd want to accelerate the speed at which I teach them about money. I'm kind of conscious of protecting their innocence around that stuff.
Yeah.
While also raising money savvy people. I never want my kids to feel like they're a financial burden. I've heard some people, not friends of mine, but I've heard people sort of get mad at their kids for how much things cost. And I'm like, man, you chose to have those kids. They didn't choose to be here. They're not a financial burden. They're
asset.
They're an asset. They're a privilege. They're awesome.
Yeah.
But if that is going to be embedded in them, then I would probably step up the speed at which I wanted to teach them some things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important for kids that money is just a mechanism to achieve, to have opportunities or achieve what you want, So if you have a goal, cool, how do you get there? What do you need to be able to afford that thing? Or how money works in society and how things, even we've got the budget coming out soon for New Zealand, it's like, why would we have a budget and how? Yeah. So I'd love to do more to help break down those conversations to help.
Turn Bluey over to Adrian Orr and go, guys, this is...
Yeah.
I know you think you want to watch Bluey. This is what's really cool.
Yeah.
We had Hamish Blake on the podcast recently too.
He's great.
Who is such a great dad.
Yeah.
And he talked about money because he has a lot of it. And we were interested in how a dad who's done really well for himself instills the value of money in his kids.
And what did he share?
He said that for pocket money, they get $1 per year of age.
Yep.
Which is a good way of doing it. But that money has to be divvied 3 ways. It has to be divvied into spend, so whatever they're saving up for, a scooter or whatever they want to get. Save. No. Spend, do whatever you want with, right? Save, the bigger thing you're looking for, and then give. So there's a third of it that goes towards just a pot that at the end of the year, they go together and they donate that money to the city mission. And then the kids get to see where the money goes. And I'm sure the city mission would, if you were taking your kids in there, would say, hey, this is the good that it does. And then you get to see what your money does, Yeah. Yeah.
We interviewed Ruth, who said the same thing, that she would give pocket money based on the age, which I thought was a cool idea. I think also it's, what do they get pocket money for? Do they just get it or do they get it for contributing wider than just looking after their stuff,
So that's an interesting one too.
Yeah.
And Jordan said to me that he never wants to reward his kids financially for doing the things around the house that they should just be doing anyway.
Yeah.
He said that's a real bugbear. He goes, no, you're not going to get money for doing the dishes because you should help out with the dishes anyway. So it's finding other ways, or just making the pocket money automatic on a behavior basis or something like that. But yeah.
I look at it like because I have the same thought process really. Like, I don't want them to just, cool, you've tidied up your own things, you get money. For me, I want them to feel like it's when I see them do something that is really proactive or they're doing something that's like they've got a great attitude around the house is really helpful sometimes, It's kind of Pavlov conditioning, I guess. Like that's the behaviours we want to see and reward.
I think I would like to be able to give them, if they came to me and said, I need some more money than I have for this certain thing, I'd like to teach them that they can work harder to
let's come up with a plan.
Earn more. You go, cool, let's figure out some things that you could do that would be valuable that I could reward you with money for, because that is life. That's the way that I have always treated money. I've always gone, if I need more money, and that's why I have so many bloody side hustles over my time. That's why I started a DJing company when I was at high school and bought all this gear, because I've always looked at it and gone, if I need more money, I need to do more work. I can't just go and say, pay me more for the thing that I'm doing. I need to find a way to earn more and do more things.
So if they walk past the Honda shop and they want that motorbike, you'll help them come up with a plan on how to get there.
Yeah, and a way to hide the motorbike from their mum as well.
Yeah. What education or support around money do you think is missing, in particular for dads or parents? Caregivers.
Good question. I think there should be more education around investing and how the value of your money, if just held, decreases. And the way that inflation is working at the moment, I feel like more people in New Zealand know more about inflation than ever before because of this cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
Because and knowing what the cash rate is, the official cash rate and things like that, why would the average Joe, unless they had a mortgage, care about that? But now you have to. So learning that you have to make your money work for you, whether that's putting it in property or putting it in Sharesies or putting it in some kind of investing platform, something, or putting it into some form of asset, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think education is so important for that equality of information. You know, thankfully there are things like this now and there is way more access to information. But there's been, even when you're talking about your parents and your upbringing, like, similar, like it just wasn't discussed. It wasn't something, you didn't talk about money or politics, it was all, and now that society, I think that's changed quite a bit. You did this really great episode on money saving hacks. Can you share some of them with these listeners?
The one that blew up was one that Jordan talked about, which was called a GYO night. And it was about maximizing your groceries, I guess. And he said once a week, towards the end of the week, like if you get your groceries on a Sunday, this might happen on like a Saturday night. They do what's called a GYO, a get your own, and the kids just go to the pantry and get whatever they want for dinner that night. And they might go and decide, I want Weet-Bix for dinner tonight, or they might go, I want 2-minute noodles. But what it does is twofold. It uses stuff that they already have, but it also gets them thinking about food and meals, and then they get to prepare that themselves as well. And that just really blew up with people. Like
that's such a great idea.
Yeah, and it's so simple.
Yeah.
But he goes, it's a whole night, and we don't have to plan a meal. Jody his wife doesn't have to plan a meal, or him that night.
Yeah.
And they might find sausages and go, I want these. Can you help me cook these? And then they cook them on the barbecue or something like that. That was a good one. I talked a bit about it's real minor, but I think that shifts in habits are quite good. I have been using off-peak power more and more, where I just shift the power load of things that we do to the middle of the night, set the washing machine to go on at after 11 o'clock, set the dryer up to come on 2 hours before we wake up if we're using that sort of thing. That's been helpful. And also pre-buying fuel was a really good saving hack too, using things like the Z app, where you can, if you're somewhere and you go, man, like if you go down to Rotorua and you see the gas is substantially cheaper, which it is because they don't have the tax that Aucklanders have, just buy 4, 5, 6 tanks of it, and then over time it adds up. I love doing it because when I bought all my fuel in Papamoa in November last year. I bought 500 litres for each of our cars, and every time I swipe that app now, when I fill up my car, it says it's prepaid, but also it shows you how much you saved on your tank versus the pump price. It's like $20 a tank.
Wow.
Which that's 2 tanks massive. A month, 2 cars, 4 tanks a month, that's a huge saving.
When we're trying to come up with some cool games or activities or things, people can take after listening to this and go do with children and help them understand money, or just have some more conversations and fun around it.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas or tips?
We have, so through that $1 that I gave them that time, we now do games, because they're so young that it needs to be really really relatable and really tangible for them to understand it.
Yeah.
So I have just recently been playing shops with them, where they will run the shop and I will come to the shop to buy things, and I will say to them, I would like some chocolate pretzels or something that they have in the house, something that they know and see. And they go, okay, I will get those for you. And they do the cute thing that they go off and they bring them back and they go, here you go. And I say to them, how much do these cost? And they come up with a number. They haven't even been in the ballpark once on a single item. I think the chocolate pretzels were $200.
Yeah.
But through that, I can sort of say to them, actually, these are only $1. these are cheaper than this. This costs more than this. And that is like a little way of just sort of drip feeding how much things cost through to them, which they will understand, because it's like whenever you don't have something in the house and their default is to go, why don't we have that thing? I was like, well, because it ran out. Well, let's get more. I was like, no, we won't get more now. We'll get more at the end of the week in the grocery shopping, because things cost money and we have to, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that that's real. It took me back to going to the playground with my children. And you know how sometimes at the playgrounds have got this little, it's kind of like a storefront.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. So they make me pretend ice creams and I'm giving them leaves as money or whatever.
Totally.
But I like it being real in the pantry at home. I think that's a really cool way to bring it back and then actually have a conversation about the value of that thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, for sharing your time today. It's been really cool.
My pleasure. I think it's a really good topic.
Yeah.
I think there should be more information out there about it. So thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks heaps for tuning in, everyone. And thank you so much, Clint, for your insights. So much to take out of that. We've also done some other podcasts about investing and kids and money. So if you want to check those out, remember you can watch them on YouTube or follow the podcasts on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a rating and let us know what you think. And until then, ka kite anō.